Minister that nothing is going to change. At this point, we have a professor of history and international studies at Adekunle Ajashin University, Akungba Akoko, Professor Simon Odion Ehiabi. It's good to have you on the program this morning.
Good morning. Thank you for inviting me to the program.
Now, Professor, where do you think this issue is going to? Because as it appears, it has been declared as a full-blown war between Israel and Gaza. Do you think there's a headway in making a U-turn anytime soon?
Okay, good morning once again. It's an honor to be on your show. I want to quickly contact there's no war between Israel and Gaza. Gaza is a territory in Palestine. The war we are having now is a war between Israel
and Hamas
and a resistance group called Hamas. And Hamas is sited in Palestine, the Jews and Arabs. In there, from time memorial, conflict. But in the 18th century, the Jews were persecuted in Europe and they wanted to come back to their home. And they said, here you have a present-day Palestine with a traditional home, and began to migrate to that just bit by bit by bit. And in fact, the idea for the creation of a Jewish state started around 1890 when a Jewish scholar, wrote a pamphlet, and he called the pamphlet the Jewish state. That was around 1890. And so, Jews began to migrate to that region, where you already had Arabs settled. And Arabs had been there for centuries. So when the Jews began to migrate to that region, they began to buy properties and formed a colony. The Arabs did not resist them. The Arabs saw them as by the UN. In 1947, 1948, Ben-Gurion, Israel, they created the state of Israel. And that has signaled unending crisis between the Palestinians in Palestine and the Jews in Israel. So the question is, who owns Palestine? It is neither the Jews nor the Palestinians, because that region has been conquered and reconquered by various groups and various states. So what we now have in the present are two groups claiming ownership of a particular region. And what we can only do is to which other scholars have also preferred, provide a two-state solution. A two-state solution. The state of Palestine should be created, and the state of Israel, which is created by most Arab states. I think that will bring lasting society.
So,
what the Prime Minister is emphasizing is more of vengeance. You would know that the October 7 invasion of Israel, of course, showed a loophole in Israeli security of the Prime Minister.
So, Prof.
This is a war. Yes?
Okay, perhaps you complete that thought.
Yeah, so this is a war of revenge. It's a war of vengeance. It's a war of reprisal. And so the Prime Minister could, in the language of international policy, justify the preserving the state of Israel. But I know that what I was to intervene, and I know, as Israel has always shown, there will be a time for settlement and to be settled.
Prof, you talk about the intervention, but the question is, how soon arrive? You've mentioned that you see that very soon, but there are concerns about how all will be lost. You've clearly stated that this is between Israel and a group, Hamas. But when you look at the level of devastation, what exactly is going on, and how long will this go on for? Children, because of this war, and one begin to wonder how many more lives intervention comes.
Well, I may not be in a position to give you the specific on when it will end, but history has shown that wars don't last forever. Wars don't last forever. The Second World War was between 1939 and 1945. It ended. So this will end, but the implications, the consequences of war is what we are seeing. That is why most scholars will tell you that war is evil. Those who suffer at the end are not people leaders. They are just the common citizens that are victims of war. That there is an increase in casualty. These are part of the consequences of war. The increase in casualty. For now, Israel seems to have the upper hand because of its military strategy and nationalism. But the Arab states will also support Hamas in making sure that Palestine is not fully conquered by the Israelis. But like I always emphasize, no war lasts forever. This will also come to an end, but we also hope that to begin a process of creating and recognizing a two-state situation in the Palestinian region, that is the state of Palestine and the state of Israel. Israel has been created but not recognized by some Arab states. Palestinians are also entitled to a state. In fact, if you go back to history, you would see that by 1929 there was a conflict between Israel and the Palestinians, and the British set up a commission. The commission recommended that the only way to have a settled region was to create the state of Israel. And you're also aware, I'm sure you're familiar with the Balfour Declaration of 1917.
Of course.
That also created the idea for the state of Israel, but none talked about the creation of the state of Palestine. And that is the issue. The issue is that when you have too many contending parties, when you have too many interested parties involved in a conflict, the end seems to be far. The interest group in this particular Middle East crisis are just too many. There are interest groups for economic reasons, political reasons, pathetic reasons. You must not also undermine the role of ammunition manufacturers. They sell arms to come.
Okay. Prof, let's now, this now is leading state of in Israel and Hamas war now, in other crisis situation, how much of that impact have we really felt from international bodies, international communities coming together to say, resolving the situation? How much of this seen in all of these formations?
You see, Mr. Saeed, let me make it clear that when we talk about international community, we tend to be optimistic. What is our understanding of international community? It is made up of powerful states in the world. America, Britain, okay, let me make it simpler. The 5 veto powers UN membership. These are the communities that make up what we call international community. They dictate what happens in the world. So if America, if Britain, if China, if Russia are interested in settling this, for their selfish reasons. So when we talk about international community, we tend to give credence to a group that is non-existent. There's no international community. Rather, we have international states that are powerful and also influences to their own benefit. And so you can see what's happening between Ukraine and Russia. One would have thought that the war would have ended after 2-3 months. It's over a year. It's going to 2 years now. By February, it becomes 2 years. The war is too off because of interested parties. So let us what we should suggest is for the Jews and is that the issue of settlement must not forget the place of Jerusalem. Jerusalem is the contentious issue because here in Jerusalem you have the third holiest site of the Muslims. sited in Jerusalem. Right in Jerusalem, you have the Wailing Wall and the Second Temples that are sacred sites to Judaism. Right in Jerusalem, you have what Christians call the Holy Church of Sepulchre, where they believe that Christ ascended from that spot to heaven. So until we settle the Jerusalem question, we may not have a peaceful resolution of the Middle East issue. So the international community, as it were in quote, must also consider that America appeared to be a Christian state, and during Donald Trump's era, he established the American embassy in Jerusalem, which means Israel would consign that contradiction. So I have submitted elsewhere that the international community, as it were, which is made up of America, Britain, and other public countries, are not willing to have a peaceful resolution of the Palestinian question.
All right, Professor, while we're still talking about the international communities, I'm wondering, why do we have situations like that, and there is always, we use the word ally in that situation. For instance, in this issue of Hamas, we have Iran always on the side of those. Then we have America and some other countries on the side of Israel. Like you rightly said, with things like that, we will have difficulties fixing the situation. But again, I'm also looking at the intention, because there is always an intention when people want to support. There is something they want to gain at the end of it all. We're experiencing the same in Russia and Ukraine. How do you think this can be we can actually completely end it, this issue of where you should actually try to find peace?
Well, let me begin by stating the obvious. Every state has its own defined foreign policy. And the foreign policy of every state is to protect its national interest. And whatever that national interest is relative to that state. States are not generous. States are not charitable. States do not get involved in conflict outside the territory because of adventure. States get involved in other people's crises for what they will gain, and that's the realism in international politics. So those allied forces supporting Israel are not doing it for the sake of Israel. They are doing it for the sake of the economic gain. For instance, take a look at the map of the Middle East, and you will see why America and the rest of the world are interested in the Middle East crisis. Palestine is very close to the Mediterranean Sea, and that's a gateway to almost other parts of the world.
You have 1 minute remaining.
we just want to close the conversation. We had connection issue with the other one.
Okay.
All right. Thank you so much, sir.
Yeah.
All right, it's still AM today on Osrc television, and we've been speaking with Professor Simon Ehiabi on the Israel-Hamas crisis, and we'll try as much as possible to closing thoughts on this issue. Prof, just yesterday on the floor of the Nigerian Senate, had a senator moving a motion and was also co-sponsored 20 others, executive weighed into the Israel-Hamas war. What's your reaction to that move from the Nigerian Senate?
Well, it is easy to talk. As far as we know, Nigeria right now does not have the international credibility to intervene or propose a lasting solution in that crisis. But it is good to make such proposal. My closing thoughts on this is that America, Britain, Russia, and China should sit down and provide a long-lasting solution. And I support the proposal that only a two-state situation create the state of Palestine and recognize the state of Israel. And I think that will bring, for now, relative peace in the region. For the Nigerian Senate, the Senate is free to say anything, but the capacity to actualize whatever the Senate proposes. But it's important in terms of politics. For now, Nigeria lacks that capacity to be a key player in international politics.
I guess that conversation or that submission from you should form the discourse or the fulcrum of our next discussion with you, Professor Simon Ehiabi, on how Nigeria can really truly build that international credibility, because we see bear that tag of the giant of Africa, the big brother on the African scene, and yet you see that international credibility is still lacking. Thank you so much, Prof. We hope we have that discussion sometime soon.
Thank you.
All right, our guest has been Professor Simon Odion Ehiabi, Professor of History and International Studies, AUA Akungba Akoko. We must thank you profoundly for being a part of the program this morning.
Thank you for the invitation.
All right, this is where we bet the ship on the program today, Wednesday. Do join us again on Friday for another wonderful edition on the program. I've had the beautiful moments, spending a beautiful moment with Zaida Aribisala.
You tell them how you spent that moment. So thank you so much for joining us, being part of the program today. Do enjoy your Wednesday and the rest of the week.
My name is Flora Iwanya.